Has anybody done any personal research about why the cry went up and up? The sadda. There was a sound. We call it cry in English. It was a response by the Deva to the setting the Dhammacakka in motion by a Sama Sambuddha, right? I think last Monday I was trying to tell you that this is like a normal phenomenon. Like when you get to hear that there's something new that is happening in your life, maybe outside, you might probably come up with a shock, maybe a surprise. Ah, it happened, right? So this kind of a excitement, I would say, in a way, a surprise was what happened to the Devas. Devas had not experienced that kind of a cry, sabda, basically a sabda, because of this new thing happened in the what do you call universe. Yeah, so we all study every day. We study together. We are trying to look at what the Buddha exactly said in these suttas. This is our prime purpose in studying the suttas. Not that we can actually interpret our own ways, rather than looking at what the Buddha really meant in the suttas. It's a very tough task. Why is it a tough task? Because without studying a certain great number of suttas, you will never understand what a specific sutta is talking about a particular phenomenon, particular Dhamma teaching, right? So that's why we are studying different other suttas sometimes in our, even we study Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta, we are also studying other suttas sometimes just to understand what the Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta must have mentioned. We are sometimes going to cross-check, throughout the canon just to understand, right? All right, let's get into the sutta now. Etam paranimmita vasavatti-nang devanang saddang sutva brahmakaika deva saddang anusavesu. So that means having heard the cry of the paranimmita vasavatti deva, then the cry is going onto the Brahma bowl. So normally it has to be an arrow that is facing up north. But while we are studying the sutta, it is as it talks about, right? So Brahmakaika Deva, why did the Buddha mention Brahma? Brahma is also as a part of Deva. Now, normally we know Devas, right? Devas. But why Brahmas are also Deva? So Deva and then Brahma Deva. Are there any differences between these two? Who are the Brahmas? They are also Devas. So we can call them as higher Devas. So when you see the last heaven, the Brahma world, Akarnita, material Brahma world, that is what you call by the highest Brahma world. Rupavachara, material Brahma worlds. Then there are 4 immaterial Brahma worlds. But normally, the last Brahma world of the Rupavachara world. Rupavachara means material. Now you see Kamavachara, Rupavachara, Arupavachara, right? What are they? These are the three types of worlds. What are they? Kamavachara world. What is Kamavachara world? Kamavachara world means heaven, any being in the hells, any being in the human world, any being in the 6th heaven. So they all are part of the Kamavachara. They all belong to the Kamavachara world. Then Rupavachara world is the second one. Second higher. So that means there are 16 Brahma worlds which we will be studying today. Then Arupavachara Brahma worlds. So there are 4 immaterial Brahma worlds. That means, now some people misunderstand. Rupavachara Brahma worlds to them is they think there may be no mind. Right? There is mind, but the mind is subtle. The Rupa part, body part is very solid. Rupa part is solid, but the mind part is subtle. But there is a mind. Without the mind, nobody can survive because Nama Rupa must be present in any being. Then when it goes to Arupavachara worlds, the body part, Rupa is not solid, Rupa is subtle, but the mind is solid. Right? Now, what is happening in the Kamavachara world, especially with regard to the human world? Our Nama and Rupa are mostly solider than the Rupavachara and Arupavachara beings. Especially our body is very solid. That is why we come up with lots of akusalas, right? Now, devas do not eat food like us, but we eat solid food. Then, when you eat solid food, you will become a solid person. Then we are all more into both kusala and akusala, mostly akusalas. You can't say it's bad. It is how things happen to us. But devas don't eat our food, right? Do they eat our food? According to the text. No, they don't eat rice, they don't eat these drinks, right? It is said that some of the Brahmas, they never eat anything, never drink. They eat happiness. Some might, how come the Brahmas eat Abhasara? Abhasara Brahmas are eating happiness. Now, can we eat happiness? Now, I want you to think about a very happy day in your life. Let's say something that you were expecting for many years, probably many decades, all of a sudden came true. Maybe your son's graduation, maybe something else, maybe money, maybe expectations got met for some reasons. On that particular day, maybe since that particular day, you can pay close attention to that particular time on the day, maybe probably a day or 2 or 3. You might almost forget about the food. You don't want to eat that day. You are so happy. You are so happy. Now, when do we eat a lot? Either when we are spoiled a lot, or either when we are mentally so down. These are the 2 days we're going to eat a lot, isn't it? Right? So, compulsive eating happens to us. Either we are so greedy, or either we are very dissatisfied with what is happening to us, frustrated. But when you look at a day which brought you lots of happiness, you might probably not think about food. Because you are so happy. So happy. Now think about the food of the Avasara Brahma world. Brahmas, they don't eat solid food. So my point that I was trying to tell you is that Devas and Brahmas, they don't eat solid food. When you don't eat solid food, you can't do that. We can't do that because we are humans. Then what happens? You are not creating lots of solid thoughts about anything. The Buddha said that first your body is easy to focus on the Dhamma. That is why even the Buddha asks us to eat in moderation, right? So that is better. All right. So now the cry, the Sadda went up to the first Rupavachara Brahma world. What is it? I have noticed, I have noted. Anuttarang Dhammacakkapavattana Apativattiyang Samanenava Brahmanenava Devenava Marinava Brahmunava Kenachiva Lokaspati. Then Itihatena Kanena Tena Muktena Yava Brahma Loka Sarduva. Now Now the cry or the sound is going to different Brahma world. What is the first Brahma world? Brahma Parisaj. Then the second Brahma world, Brahma Purud. Then Maha Brahma. Paritab. Appamana. Abasara. Paritta Subha. Appamana Subha. Subhakin. Vehappala. Asanya Sat. Aviha. Atap. Sudas. Sudasi. Akanit. So then, how many Rupavachara Brahma worlds are there? According to Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta, there are 16 Rupavachara Brahma worlds. Right? Okay, so after the sound, maybe the cry went up to the Akanitta, then the sutta is going to have a very formal finish. You can see here at 182, the sutta is going to be finished. So we'll take a look at the last section and then we'll focus again about the Brahma worlds. Ayanta dasasahasi lokadhatu sankampi, sampakampi, sampavedi. And this 10,004 world systems. 10,000. 10,000. Dasasahasi. Sankam, shook, sampakam, rocked, quake, sampavi, tremble. Appamanocha ularo, obhaso, loke paturaho. Appamano, immeasurable. You can't count. Huh? Ularo, glorious. Obhaso, light. Paturaho became manifest in the world. Now, first there was a cry, there was a sound. Now it has become a light. Right? Sound and then now light. So this is very interesting to know. Sound and light at the end. Then Atikkamma devanang devanubhavan. Atikkamma means transcending or surpassing. Devanang devanubhavan. Surpassing the divine power of the deities. That means the light that came up because of the Buddha setting the Dhamma in motion, setting the wheel of the Dhamma in motion. That light surpassed the light of the Devas. That must have been the supermost, highest light. Atako Bhagava Udanang Udanis. Atako then, Bhagava, the blessed one. Udanang, inspired utterance, Udanis. Now let me ask you a question before I jump into the rest. Bhagava. Why do we call the Buddha Bhagava? Because Buddha has many other terms. I think the word Bhagava has been the most respectful name that we call the Buddha. Buddha never says Buddha say, the Buddha say. He says Bhagava. Bhagava says. Because Buddha is a very common name to all enlightened people. Right? Even we call an Arahant, Arahanta Buddha. Arahanta Buddha. And there is Pacheka Buddha. But Bhagava is only for the Samma Sambuddhas. Right? What does Bhagava mean? I think I explained to you what Bhagava means long time ago. Probably in the first, probably 5-6 Dhamma discussions. Remember? What does Bhagava mean? Why do we call Buddha Bhagava? That's an interesting thing to ask. Huh? Why do we call the Buddha Bhagava? Somebody can say, blessed one, lucky one, you know. You have to understand something beyond, you know, these words, translations. Bhagava. Now the meaning of Bhagava is the person who eradicated raga, dosa, moha. Bhagavan means bhagga rago, bhagga doso, bhagga moha. Right? So he eradicated. Now you could say, then what about the arahants? Arahants also then eradicate raga, dosa, moha. But when the Buddha eradicates raga, dosa, moha, he eradicates all the vasana qualities too. This is interesting. How many of you know this word? Vasana. Let me type that too here. Vasana. Vasana. Has anybody heard this word before? Vasana. It is said that the Samma Sambuddha, when he becomes a Samma Sambuddha, he is going to eradicate raga, dosa, moha along with vasana qualities. Vasana. What does vasana means? Our sansaric habits, good or bad. Remember when the Buddha was giving a Dhamma talk, somewhere probably in Jetavana, he told something very interesting about the audience. He said, look at three people in the audience. They are trying to pluck some leaves of flower pot in the Dhamma hall. Now these individuals were monkeys for many sansaric lives. So they want to do the same thing after became humans. Interesting. And look at those people, maybe one or couple of people. They were trying to crush the floor. They were actually sitting on the floor. And they were some centipedes in a past life. So they used to be centipedes. So they do the same thing in this life. And there were some others, they are not focusing on me. They are not looking they are looking up in the sky. They were fine astrologers in past. Solar system, maybe some of the planets, So they are doing the same thing. Now don't worry, I'm observing you. I'm not observing you that way, but the Buddha observed. Buddha said, these are sansaric qualities, habits. We call them vasana. So arahants do not eradicate vasana qualities when they become arahants. That's why you see some arahants who like, you remember the arahant called Pilindivacha. This arahant always talks to people. Hello, outcast, how are you doing? The people get mad, how come you talk to us outcast in India? Then one day he saw a man who was bringing some mangoes in a cart. He stopped him. This arahant. He said, outcast, how are you? What is in your cart? Then the vendor was very unhappy. How come you call me outcast? Then he said something wrong to him. He told a lie to the Maha. He didn't know who is this. He said, this is not mangoes. This is something else. Then the mangoes turned to be the thing that he told as a lie. Then he approached a wise person. He said, I told that monk a lie, that these are not mangoes. Oh, he must be an arahant. Then why did he call me an outcast? Because he has been a Brahmin, the higher caste Brahmin in India for many, many sansaric lives. So he has been bringing that to his, even after he became an arahant. That means his vasana qualities, when you become an arahant, your vasana quality, that means sansaric habits are not going to be stopped. You are carrying them. But Samma Sambuddha, our Gautama Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, now Maitreya Buddha is coming up, Kassapa Buddha, Kapusanda, Konagama, all the way up, Tannankara Buddha, when they become the Samma Sambuddha, they eradicate even the sansaric habits. Let me ask you, can these sansaric habits be good things too? You see some very little folks who are very good at maths. You never know that they haven't studied in this life this much, but they're very good at doing their maths. They're very good at sciences. They're very good at talking. They're very good at certain skills. Why is it? They have practiced, they had practiced the same, they have mastered the same thing in their past lives. Because Buddhism is a place where we talk about somebody, every being, animal or human or whoever, from a collection of past lives, including this life. Right? Don't take only this life to talk about Buddhism. Some people take and then they get very frustrated. Right? Because when you talk about any topic in Buddhism, you have to understand that you should not look at that situation only from this life situation. Bhante, I'm very unhappy in this life. I'm very frustrated. I didn't get the life that I wanted. So why is this? There may be some karmic results too. There may be some certain things that that person has to work on. Anyways, so I wanted to tell you this Pali word called Vasana. All right? Vasana. Next time when I ask you, now you know what to say. What is Vasana? I want to check whether all of you got that meaning. What does Vasana means? Let me show you again. Vasana. Vasana means samsaric habits. Right? Samsaric habits. Now that is why there were astrologers who did the same astrology while they are listening to Dhamma. These are very unique things. Good or bad. All right, let's go back here. Bhagava, right? So Bhagava means that the Buddha became Samma Sambuddha by eradicating Raga, Dosa, Moha. At the same time, he eradicated even the Vasana qualities, all these Vasana qualities. Udana, he uttered an Udana. What does Udana mean? Udana is an inspirational statement. Do we find Udanas, other Udanas in Buddha's life? Can you tell me any Udana that Samma Sambuddha or maybe Prince Siddhartha or ascetic Siddhartha or Gautama Buddha made? Can you remember them? Udana is a certain kind of statements he made. Now here he makes a Udana. What was the last word? What were the last words of the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha? Can you remember? How many of you have been to India, some folks? India? You've been to India? All of you been to India? Must have been to India, right? When you go to India, at the place of Kusinara, you are going to see the place where the Buddha passed away. Just before he passed away, he made a Udana. We called it Udana. The statement. What did he say? What were his last words? His last words were, Vaya Dhamma Sankhara Appamadena Sampadi. All Sankharas are going to change. Therefore, we have to strive on with diligence. Appama. Right? This is a Udana he made. You could say it's a special statement. And then, once he became the Samma Sambuddha, did he make a Udana? Yes, he did. What was it? Aneka jati sansarang sandhavisang anibbisang gahakarakang gave santo dukkha jati punak punang gahakaraka vichosi punagehanna kahasi sabbate phasuka bagga gahakutang visankara gatan chittang tanhanang kaimaccaka. Interesting. Aneka jati sansara, during many samsaric lives. Aneka jati samsara, sandhavisang anibbisang gahakarakang. I have been looking for the carpenter. I've been looking for the carpenter who is making this house of sansara. And then finally, I'm lucky enough. I found him. Gahakaraka dittosi. Punagehannaka. He is not making the house again. My sansaric life again. Then, sabbate pasukambaka. I have demolished the whole house. Sabbate pasukambaka. Gahakutang visankitang. Along the ridge pole of the house. And then, visankara gatan chittang. My mind is now not on sankhara. My mind is now on Visankhara. Where is our mind on now? Our mind is on. Where is our mind on now at this point? Anybody? Now our mind is on. You might say your mind is on a certain emotion, certain state of mind, but on a larger, broader scale of Dhamma teachings about your mind, where is our mind on now? Our mind is on Sankhara. Now, what is this Sankhara? Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. What is that Sankhara? Karma, good, bad karma, good, bad, mixed karma. Isn't it? Isn't it our life is on Sankhara or Visankhara? Our mind is on Sankhara. Now you are coming to the temple, you want to make good karmas, isn't it? Why? Because you want to create good Sankhara. But the Buddha said, my mind is now on Visankhara. I have exceeded the Sankhara. I have no good merits, bad merits, no good karma, no bad karma. I have exceeded the level of karma. Interesting. But we need some good Sankharas until we attain Nibbana, right? We don't want to try this Dhamma path with being so poor, with being so desperate, with being so difficult in our life. Can we practice the Dhamma path by having a very difficult life? Very difficult, right? So if you have a comfortable life, it is easy to practice the Dhamma. That's why we need to create some Sankharas. But when the Buddha said his mind is on Visankhara, it means he has exceeded, he has gone beyond the Sankharas. Then, Visankhara gatan chittang tanhanang kayamaccagati. Tanha has been uprooted. This is Udana. Now here, the Udana is what he called Anyasi Vatabhu Kondanna. Anyasi Vatabhu Kondanna. Anyasi Vatabhu Kondanna. Kondanna has indeed understood. Kondanna has indeed understood. What did he understand? What did Kondanna understand? What did Kondanna understand here? Now I want to tell you something very interesting here. What did Kondanna understand here? Now at the end of a Dhamma talk, a Dhamma speaker might ask you, did you understand the Dhamma talk? Say, yes, we understood the Dhamma talk. But here, the word understanding is not that understanding. In the Dhamma teachings, when someone says, I understood, that means that person got the Dhamma, Dhammacakkapavatthana, which means became a Sotapatti. So elsewhere, what is happening is that you merely understood the Dhamma points as a knowledge. When the knowledge became the practice, truly the practice, that is the real understanding. Do we have another word for this? I don't think so. That is why the Buddha said, Kondanna indeed understood what I said. That means became Sota. Right? Became a Sotapatti. Then what happens? Then he got a name. Itihidang ayasmato kondanyas anya kondanyu tveva nama ahoseti. In this way, Venerable Kondanna ayasmato, he got a name called Anya Kondanna. Anya means understood, right? Because Nya means Nya to understand part. Anya means it's the past. It's the past tense form of Nya. Anya means understood. So he got another name called. He was Kondanna before, and he was named as Anya Kondanna. All right. Now let's go back to the Brahma worlds. Here, in order to go to the Brahma worlds, we gotta go to the text over here. See, we can go to the block here. Sutta studied 20 days. What are the 16 Brahma realms, Rupavachara, and how are these beings reborn in them? Okay, if you practice the first jhana, How many jhanas do we have, Dham folks? We have how many? 9 jhanas. 9. The first 4 are belong to the Rupavachana. The next 4 are belong to the Arupavachana. The 9th one is belong to the Buddhism. It's exclusively Buddhism. It's not Hindu. It is Buddhist. We call it Nirodha Samapatti. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. Don't worry about it. Now let's go and see how these particular Brahmas became Brahmas in those groups. See what they have done. Now, how do we practice jhana? Let me ask you. I think you've been going to the meditation retreats. You've been knowing what is samatha, what is vipassana, right? You've been knowing them for long. Now let me ask you. What does a jhana mean? Jhana, J-H long A-N-A. Jhana. What is jhana? Jhana is to burn down, isn't it? The meaning of jhana is to jayati. Jayati. I want to show that. Jayati. Okay. Jayati. This is jhana. So the, Pali word called jayati. Jayati. Jayati is to burn. To burn. What is somebody going to burn here? Panchanivaras. Nothing else. It's a very minimal practice in the practice of the thoughts. What are the Panchanivaranas? Kamachanda, Vyapada, Chinamidda, Uddhacca, Kucha, Vichikiccha. So when somebody is practicing jhanas, want to attain a jhana, that person must do a meditation. We call it Samatha Bhavana. Samatha means to calm down oneself first, to get rid of, overcome 5 hindrances. Then, if things are going to be successful in his or her life, then what will happen? That person may attain the first jhana, or the second jhana, or the third jhana, or the fourth jhana. It depends. It's not the time to talk about all this, because we are focusing on the Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta's cry, and then the whole Sutta will be next week. So I think it's better to understand how does someone become a Brahma. So if somebody wants to become a Brahma in his next life, in her next life, what should he or she do? He or she should particularly attain certain jhanas in this life, and then that person passes away, going to be reborn in that particular Brahma. Let's see how it happens. Before you pass away in this life, if you attain the first jhana, then you will be reborn in one of these 3 Brahma worlds. Brahma Parisajja, retinue of Brahma, or Brahma Purohita, ministers of Brahma, and Maha Brahma. But if you attain the second jhana before you pass away, before you die, then you have the potential to be reborn in one of these 3 Brahma worlds. Paritaba, devas of limited radiance. Appama Nabha, devas of unbounded radiance. And Abhasara, devas of streaming radiance. Remember I told you, these Abhasara Brahmas, when they were asked what do you eat, they say happiness. When they are always happy people. Right? There's a saying that laugh and grow fat. It's a proverb, idiomatic expression. When people are happy, they can survive well. When they are unhappy, they are not going to survive a lot. Anyways, second jhana. But before you pass away, if you attain the third jhana, then you have the potential of being reborn in one of these 3 Brahma worlds. Parita Subha, devas of limited glory. Appamana Subha, devas of unbounded glory. Subhakin, devas of radiant glory. Interestingly, if you attain the 4th jhana before you pass away in this life, then you have multiple opportunities. You have a bunch of opportunities. You may be reborn in the Vehapala, one Brahma, very beautiful Deva, or Asanya Satta, Devas with only the body and no mind. I think the best way to say is that there is mind, but it's very subtle. It's not very manifest. And then Aviha, durable Devas, Atappa, untroubled Devas, Sudasa, beautiful Devas, Sudasi, clear-sighted Devas, and the highest Brahma bowl, Rupavachalo, Akanita, peerless Deva. You know what? I think you all know the god called Sakka. Who is Sakka? Who is Sakka? The highest. Is he the highest god in the Deva bowls? Is he? That's a misconception. He is not the highest god. The highest god is the Vasavati, Devaputta Mara. He is the Devaputta Mara. He is the highest god in, out of all these 6 heavens. But out of the Deva worlds that are particularly relevant to the human world, right? We call it Chatu Maharajika, Yama, Tavatinsa. Now, out of these 3 worlds, Sakka is the head god. But he's not the head god out of all these 6 heavens. Because Sakka is very scared of Devaputta Mara. Devaputta Mara in the Paranimitta Vasavati. Now, interestingly, there is a mention in some of the suttas that when Sakka was asked, who do you want to be when you pass away? Now, you have a certain answer. I want to be a Deva, I want to be this and that. You know what the Sakka said? I want to be reborn in the Akanita Brahma world. Here, this one. Sakka wants to be reborn. Very interesting. Why is it? Why he wants to be reborn? In the Akanita Brahma world, nobody has age difference. Now, in the human world, let's say someone is born today, has an age gap in regard to somebody who is 40 years old, 50 years old, 67, 89. Even it is the same situation with regard to other Deva world, but even the Brahma world. But when somebody is reborn in the Akanita Brahma world, they all have the same age. There's no difference. They all are same in their physicality, in their growth, everything. But what is the nicest thing over there? They all going to attain Nibbana at the end of their journey in the Akanita. Very interesting, right? Very wonderful. In order to be reborn in there, what should you do? Now you might think, 4th jhana, I would be not even 4th jhana. Don't think even the fourth jhana alone is helpful. No, you have to be an anagami. You see here? So we have to add here. Now these 5, Aviha, Atappa, Sudasya, Akani. We have another name for these 5 Brahma worlds. Now everybody who got the 4th jhana, they are supposed to be reborn in one of these, one of these 7 Brahma worlds. But in order to be reborn in the last 5, you must be an anagami here in the human, along with the fourth jhana, 4th jhana, and the spiritual attainment called anaga. Now let me ask you, the last 5 Brahma worlds are called as 5 pure lands. I call it pure lands. Now the Mahayana says there's one pure land where Buddha Amitabha lives as the Dhyani Buddha. And they say it's Shakyamuni Buddha passed away, now Dhyani Buddha lives. Pure land. But Theravada, this text says, no, not one pure land, 5 pure lands. Interesting. There are 5 pure lands. But interestingly, now how can you become reborn in the pure land in Mahayana? What is it said? You have to practice, you have to chant a lot. What you are supposed to do? You have to say, What are you supposed to say if you want to become part of the Pure Land? To see the Buddha Amitabha, you have to chant Amitabha, Amitabha as many times as it was good. I believe that not everybody can learn suttas. I believe not everybody can learn Dhamma in Sanskrit, Pali, whatever. So everybody should have an opportunity, right? But the text says that the book's Pali text says, just because you chanting the name of somebody, you cannot be reborn in a Pure Land. You must become an anaga to become born, to be reborn in one of the 5 Pure Lands. So that is not just a mere chanting. All right. So next time, if you are asked by somebody how many Pure Lands are there in Theravada Mahayana, what would be your answer? Mahayana, there is 1. Theravada, there are 5 Pure Lands. They are called 5. Now, interestingly, the cry goes up and up, right? Now, it has come down to Akanit. Now, let's see some of the information about these Brahmavas. Okay, first one, Brahma Parisatya. You can see that they are the lowest, right? And then you can see that if somebody wants to become, become a Brahma Parisatya Brahma, then that person has to attain first jhana. I think I'm not going to read all these information about the Brahmas because you can read them. I hope that we can talk about something more interesting out of them. So let me just go through one by one. You can see information about them. But I will discuss something important out of these. Abhasara, you can see here. Paritta Subha. Now, what does paritta mean? Interesting, huh? Paritta. Paritta. I want to ask you, what does paritta means? Paritta. Anybody has any thought about paritta? I think you must have learned this one before, heard it from somewhere. Paritta. What do monks say before the chanting? What do they say? They say, we are chanting parittas. Parittas, not suttas. Huh? Do they say they chant suttas? Or do they say they chant parittas? How do they say that? Recitation? Parittas. Isn't it? How come how come only few suttas become parittas? Chanting. How come other suttas become suttas? Right? Very interesting. Now, when you have lots of suttas, almost 7,000 around suttas in Anguttara Nikaya, 9,000 around suttas in the what it calls Samyutta Nikaya, right? You could see around like almost close to 20,000 suttas. Why some suttas become parittas? You know the word paritta, right? P-A-R-I-T-T-A. Protection, protected, chanting. That means other suttas are not giving you protection. Isn't it? Aren't they? Aren't other suttas giving you the protection? Okay, the answer to this question is that in Sri Lanka, long time ago, at the time of Anuradhapura Maha Vihara time, monks prepared this chanting book, Chatubhanavara Pali. Chatubhanavara Pali. And they prepared this chanting book. The original chanting book and the chanting book you have, they are very different. There are a lot of differences. So they added certain suttas into parittas. What they picked up were mostly the suttas where Buddha talks about the protection. Paritta. Now the word paritta has many meanings. That paritta is protection. But this paritta, here also paritta, right? Paritta subha. Little. Paritta means a little, right? Now, another meaning of paritta is protection, right? So, how do we understand the meaning here? Paritta subha. Subha means glory, but the glory is very limited. But here, appamana, it is also subha, right? Same subha here. Appamana means unbounded, unlimited. I think they are the different manifestation of the Brahma worlds. All right, let's go down slowly. Subhakin, you can see these meanings. All right, this is very interesting. I wanted to talk about this. Asanya Satta. Asanya Satta is a fourth Rupa Jhana Brahma world. Change to realm, yeah? In their previous life, the deities born here, Brahmas, Deva, would have achieved the fourth excellent jhana, fourth jhana. You can see it here, right? See, it is here. You have to have fourth jhana in order to be reborn in Asanya Satta. Then, accompanied by the jhanic components of Sutta Ekantata. The Brahma deities are pure and auspicious, but their grandeur is limited since they have only one developed the third jhana to a lower level than the Deva of the two. I think the interesting, sorry, not here. Sorry about that. It's here. Asanya Satta is the fourth jhana, fourth Rupa jhana, Brahma realm as well. In their previous life, the deities born here would have achieved the fourth jhana together with Ekaggata and Sutta. They would have preferred to be born without consciousness in the next birth after developing the fourth jhana. Normally, their material form and consciousness cannot be separated. But these deities are born with only the physical form and no. Why someone is reborn in this place after practicing fourth jhana? People who are practicing the fourth jhana with an emphasis on thinking, my mind is the reason of all these troubles, all this happiness, unhappiness, pain, anger, whatever. It is because of the mind. So I want to think about that mind is the problem of everything. So when that person keeps thinking mind is the problem over and over, along with the fourth jhana, that person passes away and then will be reborn in the Asanya Sattva. But you know the funny thing? After spending many thousand years in the Asanya Sattva, these people come to a point, oh, my mind exists. Then they are going to be reborn. They are going to die from that Asanya Sattva Brahma world. The moment that they think about something, they're going to be reborn elsewhere. That is why I'm saying, now the text says they don't have mind. No, they do have mind, but it's very, very, very subtle. That is why at a certain time, they are going to fully focus through their mind and all the problems come to them and then they're going to be reborn somewhere else. Asanya Sattva. All right, I couldn't ask you any questions so far, folks. Did I say we should not think about our present life? Yeah, that is okay. Let me tell you that is a topic that we will be discussing in our next sutta, Sabbasava Sutta. Let me answer you that question there. Let's save the information. The point she is making coming out of the Sabbasava Sutta, but I can tell you something about it. It is not bad. It is not wrong to what you call they plan what you call your past. Do not ever dwell on your past. When some people go to think about what happened in my life, they are also going to stay there. They are also going to live there. That is not going to be a good thing. We are going to learn out of our past. We are going to plan well for the future, but we have to live here right now. So that question and more details must be explained during our next sutta discussion, because the Sambhasava Sutta is the place where it talks about 16 doubts. And the Buddha said, worrying too much about these 16 is not necessary, and it will create, and those questions will create you a very egoistic person who has more sakkaya. But it doesn't say that Atita, Anagata are wrong places to think about. You have to plan ahead for the future. You have to think about lessons that you learn out of your past actions. If not, you cannot become a better person, right? Isn't it? Like, for example, when you go home tonight, then what you could do, perhaps, you're going to review your today, since the morning up until your sleep time. You might be thinking, did I tell a lie to somebody? Did I hurt somebody? Is it bad? No, you want to become a better person. But you are not going to live in that past. You simply want to make sure that your actions, your thoughts, and your words were in line with the Dhamma. So, the Buddha said in that sutta, I will give more information during the next one about it, because it's under that particular sutta. That what the Buddha mentioned there was that a lot of people are very dubious, very suspicious, very unnecessarily, excessively curious about their past and the future. That is not important. We don't need to be so. Right? How many people want to give their palm? I can read your palm. Oh, yeah. Can you read my palm? They are so much into their past life, right? Can you tell me what's going to happen to my life? How long will I be living? That kind of a mentality might not be good, I think. I mean, people do it for some fun stuff. I mean, but there are people who are very much into their past, very much into their, no. You go learn from the past. You can plan for the future. Combine all those good things, lessons into this present moment. That is what the Buddha talks about in that particular sutta. That's not relevant to today, but interesting. Any other questions about what we've been doing? Because we have discussed a couple of other things before we finish. Okay? And next Monday will be a day that I'll be asking questions from you, all right? Because it's the review of the whole sutta. I'm going to go back to the Kamasukallikana Yoga, Pratilamatana Yoga, Noble Eightfold Path, and then what you call the Four Noble Truths, the Parivatta, Dwadasakara, cry in regard to the Deva, cry in regard to the Brahma, Anya Kondanna. So I think we're going to go over all these sections and going to have a very good conclusion. I would say have a good review about recap everything, which we started in July. How many months it took us to finish this sutta? From July 7. Oh, almost 4.5. Almost. Yes, started on the Asala Poede, right? Almost. All right. Any more questions about Brahma and today? All right. So we'll be going over a few more things, and you can ask if you have today. I want to discuss about this interesting thing. Sit. Ayancha dasasahasi lokadatu sankampi 10,000-fold system shu. So the Buddha talks about 1,000-world system. What is it? How do we understand this? What is a world system, Dhamma folks? According to Buddhism, the Buddha says there are so many world systems. Now here, 10,000 world system got Shu, and they've got what you call feared, quick, and all that. What is a world system? World system means one world system means there is one sun, one moon, and particularly one solar system. Now you see here, we might think the universe is this whole solar system. There is Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Earth, right? So we name it. These planets. Buddha said, this is one world system. That means there are other world systems, there are their own sun, there are their own moon, their own stars, own planets. Then the Buddha said, when he set the Dhamma wheel in motion, 10,000 world systems got the message. And they were, you can see, checking. Let's learn more about this world system at the end. I think I have given some information to you. In Buddhism, what is a world system? Loka Dhatu. What is Loka? World. Dhatu means system. Now let me ask you. Now we normally say world. This world, we have some continents. As a Buddhist, can you say that there's only one world? Can you say so? No, you cannot say. Because Buddha clearly says 10,000 world systems. That means, can there be humans in those world systems? Yes, why not? Scientific experiments have not been thus far able to find out these, what you call humans, but they have some suspicions. You can say Area 51 in Nevada, they are talking about these aliens, but they have not proved about these beings. But we are talking from Buddhism that there can be humans in other places, in other world systems. So you have to keep in mind, this is only one world system. Now let's learn a few more things about it. Huh? The sense of Dhatu, world system, is well established. It refers to a specific constellation of cosmological details in a world. It has a sun, moon, heaven realm, so for which the closest modern term is a solar system. I would call world system is a solar system. There are countless such systems. Dasasahasi Lokadhat, you can say 10,000. You could call it a galaxy in a way, you know. So we're going to quote Anguttara Nikaya's 3.80, this Sutta. Right? You can see what the Buddha says in this. Yavata Ananda Chandima Surya Pariharanti Disa Bhante Virochana Tava Sahasadal Ananda. The Buddha talks to Bhante Ananda. A galaxy extends 1,000 times as far as the moon and sun revolve, and the shining ones light up the corners. Now, what does it say? Now, previously, someone might say a world system has one moon. Each world system might have one moon, one sun. But the Buddha says, not exactly. It says that the moon and the sun is not only part of one solar system, one world system. That is why the Buddha here says the same moon and the sun shares all these, what you call world systems, share this sun and the moon. And see more information here. Ananda, a galaxy extends 1,000 times as far as the moon and sun revolve, and the shining ones light up the corners. See here? In that galaxy, there are 1,000 moons, 1,000 suns, 1,000 scenarios, king of mountains, 1,000 Indias, 1,000 western continents, 1,000 northern continents, 1,000 eastern continents, 4,000 oceans. Interesting, huh? 4,000 oceans, right? And 4,000 great kings, 1,000 realms of the gods of the 4 great kings, 1,000 realms of the god of the 33 Tavatins, Yama, joyful. What does it mean? That means now the system, what you call the framework of the world is same, but they have been multiplied in different solar systems, right? So we have to believe that this is not only one world system. There is only one world system. There are many thousand solar systems. Finally, This is called a thousandfold lesser worlds, called a galaxy, call it a Cholanika Lokadhatu, Sahasri Cholanika, Yavatananda Sahasri Cholanika Lokadhatu, Tava Sahasri, Sahasadhatu, a world system that extends for 1,000 galaxies. Now, this is one of the highest form of solar systems, millionfold meeting system called galactic cluster, and then a world system that extends for 1,000 galactic clusters, we call it a galactic supercluster. Billionfold great world system. But Buddha does not talk about that. His cry went up to billionfold clusters, billionfold supercluster. He only says 10,000 world systems, solar systems could hear his Dhammacakka, is setting the motion of Dhammacakka in setting the Dhammavila in motion, was heard by 10,000 solar systems. That's very interesting. So that also tells us that we should not only believe that there's only one solar system. So whenever you go to a discussion, when somebody talks to you about the world, cosmology, never ever tell that person that the Buddha says only this. Buddha says that there's only one world and there are only certain planets. You have to always tell Buddha talks about many solar systems, many world systems. In each solar system, there is a moon, there's a sun, there are Deva world, there are Brahma world. So it's such a very, what you call, inclusive, what you call, a place of many other planets. But interestingly here, 10,000 such solar systems could hear the sound. Now, you know the cry went up to the final Brahma world. Then what happened to the other Brahma world, the last four? Arupavachara Brahma worlds, why did the cry not go to those places? Arupavachara Brahma worlds are not very much highlighted in the spiritual attainments. Why is it? Can an anagami person going to be reborn in the four Arupavachara worlds? Akasananchayatana, Akinchanyayatana, Vinyananchayatana, Nevasa? No. Why is it? They are not part of the spiritual attainments. They are part of the jhanas. They are only part of the jhanas. Now let me ask you. Prince ascetic Siddhartha, he approached teachers, right? What were his first teachers after he became an ascetic? Can you remember their names? What were the ascetic Siddhartha's teachers? Bhargava, Alarakalamu, and Uddakarama. What did he learn out of their teachings? So when he went to the last teacher, Uddakarama Putta, what happened? What he learned from him? He said, "What my practice is practicing jhanas, arupavachara jhanas. Then my practice is to attain the 8 jhana, neva sanya na sanyayatana." So you call it neither perceptions nor feelings. Huh? No, neva sanya na sanyayatana means neither perceptions nor non-perceptions to obtain or realize the 8 jhana. Then what happened? Then the what you call teacher Uddakarama Putta, the teacher Uddakarama Putta said, "Now you have come to the same level of my teaching. You are also someone who has the 8 jhana. Now can we share the disciples, our students? Can we teach?" Then the ascetic Siddhartha said, "No, this is not what I want. I want to go on my way." Right? Then what does it mean? Even without becoming a Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, you can attain these Sarupavachara jhanas. But you cannot be reborn in the 5 pure lands. in order for you to be reborn there, you must be an anagami. So that means when you are more focused on becoming a Sotapatti, now this is the idea of Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta, right? Now when the Buddha said, Anya Kondanna, monk Kondanna understood my Dhamma. What does it mean? Anya Kondanna became a Sotapatti. So you cannot say that I understood the Dhamma today. You learn it. When you say you understood, that means you became a Sotapatti. On the other hand, Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, sometimes there are some people, they are not practicing Sotapanna, Sakadagami, they are making a direct attainment to become an Arahant. But most people, they are working on becoming a Sotapanna. So in order to practice the jhanas, especially the Arupavachara jhanas, Buddha did not see them as very mandatory. Buddha said, jhana is a normal practice, everybody does, but you should practice to become a Sotapanna. Because you want to end the samsara. When you practice jhanas, you can do it to focus on vipassana. But if you only practice samatha, you will never finish samsara. You will never become a Sotapanna. That is the problem. What are the immediate benefits for you when you become a Sotapanna? Tell me. What are the immediate benefits? The most important benefit. What is the most important benefit of becoming a Sotapanna? Once you became a Sotapanna, you will never be reborn in the apayas, hells. That is very important. You know, we will never become an animal. You will never become reborn in the hells. And you will only stay for another 7 lives. You will definitely, you are guaranteed to become an Arahant. Guaranteed. So what do we want then? What do we want? To become a Sota. Now that is what we learn from Anya Kondanna. Anya Kondanna. Buddha says, this Kondanna understood my Dhamma. He got this new eye. We call it Dhammacakka. Dhamma eye. He got the Dhammacakka. The Buddha turned the Dhamma wheel in motion. The Buddha turned the Dhammacakka in motion. Anya Kondanna got the Dhammacakku because of that turning the Dhamma wheel in motion. Right? So that is very interesting. Any questions about this part? Especially the solar system, cosmology, finally what we see about what happened. Maybe any other question about Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta before we have our review? Yeah, very interesting question. Yes. Chatum Maharajik. What is it? Yakhas live in the Chatum Maharajikas. But the problem is, Yakhas are not residents there. Their home is there, but they are elsewhere. Now, you know the Devas in the Chatum Maharaj. What is Chatum Maharajika? The nearest Deva world to the human world. Our human world. That's the nearest place. Now, you are very concerned about what are our neighboring Devas. I may have a house Deva in my house. I may have Devas in the other places, but the Buddha says, Chatum Maharajika is the nearest Deva world. In this Deva world, there are 4 types of beings living. There are 4 types of, heads of Devas. Viruda, Virupakka, Dataratta, and Vessavana. That means Nagas, then Gandhabas, Yakhas, right? There are beings as such. Yakhas are supposed to live in the Chatum Maharajika heaven. They are under the direct supervision of a god called Kuvera or Vessavana. He is the one who is supervising all the Yakhas, right? Yakkas are not necessarily Buddhist devas. Some of them are not Buddhist. They don't like to follow Buddhism. Some are Buddhist. Why do I say so? If you read Atanatiya Sutta, you can see when the Buddha was talking about 5 precepts, some Yakkas said to the Buddha, we don't want to follow you. You talk about not killing, not stealing, not misbehaving, not lying, not clouding the mind. Well, we do want to kill. We do want to, steal. We do want to misbehave. We do want to lie. We do want to cloud the mind. So some of them did not follow the Buddha. Some of them followed the Buddha. Right? You remember Alavaka Yakka? Right? Alavaka? He was a Yakka, right? It is said that when he became a Sotapanna. Interesting, huh? Right? After listening to the Buddha, Alavaka Yakka became a Sotapanna. But interestingly, when someone became a Sotapanna, in this case, when a Yakka became a Sotapanna, Yakka cannot keep the Yakka nature anymore. So he became a better Deva. He had to remove his Yakka nature. So Yakkas, you asked me whether there is a particular English translation for Yakka. So the usual translation is demon. Sometimes we cannot find a better translation. So what I would do at that point is I use the Pali word itself. Yakka is Yakka. Bodhi is Bodhi. Right? Buddha is Buddha. Nibbana is Nibbana. Metta is Metta. You can't translate sometimes. So yes, in English, they translate it to be a demon. But demon has an English Christian translation. They have a different way. But you could say, yeah, they are demons. Yeah. So they are devas. Never be hesitant to ask questions. Huh? If you didn't get anything out of the discussion, you need to ask. Otherwise, you will go with confusions. Huh? All right. So today we discuss about the cry, the sound that went up to the Brahma worlds, and we discussed that the sound went up to the highest Brahma world, which is the Brahma world, which is called Akanitya. I did not explain each Brahma world one by one because you have a note now. You can read that on your own by yourself. So just to save the time, I didn't go forward to that section. That's why I'm giving text. But if you have a question about the Brahma worlds, you can definitely ask me next week, or you can send me a WhatsApp message. It's harmless, and I can answer anytime. All right. So I think there are no questions. If so, we're going to transfer the good karmas and then wrap this up. Right?